everyone, Ittarra here, bringing you the Astaroth buffs from version 1.11 of Soulcalibur 6. Now, a couple of footnotes I need to go over here is I was not able to get gameplay of him pre-patch because this update actually caught me off guard. It was supposed to drop on the 17th, but it dropped early in the night on the 16th for me. So I was not able to actually get a couple of key changes that have happened with Astaroth since then. So we're just going to have to talk about it along the way. And just so you know, I am going from top to bottom in the patch notes themselves. So I will not be interjecting my opinion for the best or worst things that will happen at the end of the video. So first things first. The thing that they want to highlight is the fact that his command grabs, now when fully charged, have a break attack on them. So no longer will people be able to actually stand in your face and reversal edge all day, or they would have to respect your wake up because of GIs and so on and so forth. Now, the other thing is they enlarge the inner hitbox, so that way when you are closer to him, you don't step through his grabs. There have been quite a few notorious things that have happened with grabs just seemingly whiffing through somebody, even though they're supposed to be considered a horizontal. But for some reason, it just whiffed right through them as if the hitbox didn't actually exist. So, we at least have that. The other interesting thing is his Earthquake. His Ready to Rock, whatever you want to call it, heavy metal fucking startup band. This one would have a problem when it came to actual hit detection. I would have my 6B whiff right through someone, or I would have even my CE whiff right through them. Now, the change for this is the fact that the next input that you hit will track no matter what. It will have actual tracking if they're in front of you, behind you, whichever. It will actually track them regardless. So that way, there are no more shenanigans with 6B whiffing right through people. Also, they increased the hitbox to 6B, but we'll get to that later. The next thing is that was really weird to me was the fact that 1AG apparently got a input buffer window, so you don't get 2A plus G for some reason. I never had a problem with that, but apparently some people did. Now, probably the most devastating to my heart and soul is the fact that my charge no longer gives me my spins. They patched this out, and you can no longer get the infinite of just continuously doing it no matter how hard you try. You never get it after the soul charge is supposed to end, which I understand, but I just loved it because it was so stupid. I mean, you could literally wake up and just reversal edge, GI, whatever. You could get a, you know, it was so stupid and they had to get rid of it. No matter how hard you try, you will never get it again. Trust me, I've tried. Alright, now this is a big footnote here, and why you should never use Create-A-Souls. This is a Create-A-Soul only bug, and it proves every theory that we have ever had about Create-A-Souls having jank hurt boxes and jank hit boxes. Reversal Edge B, also known as his Ring Out. When this move is used by a creation character, the distance between the opponent became far, which caused the attack to miss. So the forward movement has been increased during the attack animation. This was fixed in version 1.10, but was not mentioned in the patch notes. So, Create-A-Souls, just don't use them. Stop using Create-A-Souls. I understand that you want to show off your creations and everything else, but there's a time and place for everything. And just stop. You're really hurting yourself with this. Now, probably, in my opinion, the biggest buff is this. His 4AA got a massive, substantial increase. It is now a 12 and 10 frame. Now, the reason why it's 12 and 10 is because the elbow is 12 and the axe coming out is actually 10. It might not seem it, but it is. Because you can interrupt so much if that first hit whiffs, and that comes out next. You can interrupt so much. Now, obviously, they're still high, so you can tech duck underneath them, but it still gives Astaroth a reason to stay in your face. You can't get him out that well. Now, I have Survey here recorded to actually just do standard AA to show the speed. So we're going to block. See? Interruption. And it doesn't matter what he does. Interruption. He can do whatever he chooses. Hang on. And it still beats it out no matter what. This is a substantial buff for Astaroth. I decided to test it in just a friendly casual match and everything else. I must have hit and interrupted my friend's survey at least 36 times, and that is not an exaggeration. I wanted to test this to the max and just continuously kept doing it. He couldn't step, he could barely block it, and even if he did block it, the second hit would come out so fast he would barely be able to tech duck it on reaction. It's an amazing utility tool, and if he wants to try and tech duck it, this comes out quicker too, so it will interrupt. Now, obviously, they also enlarged the hitboxes of it as well, so that's a very big thing. And BB got an enlarged hitbox. What else is here? 3B got an enlarged hitbox. 2B. This got a... Wait, come on, really? You're gonna do this to me now? Why is it not giving my... There you go. Apparently that got an enlarged hitbox as well. I mean, who uses that? His spin did. 4-4B got an enlarged hitbox, so that's pretty nice, actually. This is also a very big one right here. His 1-1B bread and butter at neutral, which would be this. Okay, I screwed that up because bad timing. Now, what would end up happening is the character would slide so far away, he would not be able to actually get the 2-2B afterwards. Now, it's more reliable because of the fact that B plus K has an enlarged hitbox, which means that it will hit 100% of the time. Like, you can be late, you can be early, and on top of that, it made it to where the opponent will slide closer to you, so that way there is no more shenanigans with it. Now, this one's really weird to me. It's his lethal hit off of BOI. Now, this is a useless lethal hit, and apparently it was even more useless than I thought. Apparently you could GI after the lethal hit for 4A plus B. Apparently you could GI right afterwards, and you could never get a follow-up. I just... bleh. Okay, now, the interesting thing is... This is another interesting thing. Astaroth's Titan Drop no longer rings him out. Believe it or not, you will never be able to ring yourself out with Body Splash in any regard, or Titan Drop. Titan Drop will never ring you out ever again, and you can use it as a ring out option now. That is pretty huge, because I can't tell you how many times I've ended up doing that to myself. Now, on to the bottom of everything. This got a nerf. This was his only nerf. Decrease the attack's tracking except for downed opponents, meaning that you can step it more reliably. That's pretty much all that means. If you charge it, it used to be able to track on both sides pretty reliably. Now you can step it, but you're never supposed to use it when the opponent's standing anyway. It says, decrease the attack's tracking except for downed opponents. So when you're knocked down and you see an Astaroth charging this, it will hit you the same no matter what. Reversal Edge. Now this is a big one. They increased it to be, I believe, a 16 frame, believe it or not. Now, the reason why I would say this is, hang on, let's go into, we gotta change the slot here. Okay, now we're gonna record it here. Survey used to be able to, Survey after 3B would, hang on. Let me do this one more time, just to be on the safe side. I wanna make sure I get it right. 3B, and then step. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to play it, but we're going to actually just reversal edge it. Watch this. Okay, never mind. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Thank you. Ah, it doesn't work. But they did increase how fast it happens, so it's not that big of a deal in regards. So it's not even that bad. They did increase how fast it is, but you can still step quite a bit regardless. But it's not as bad as it was before. It will have, be able to be used reliably in matches, whether it be high or low level play. There will be general things that happen with it. Now, this one right here, Bull Rush and 2-2B have been officially fixed. Holla fucking Luya. I don't really enjoy cursing that much. Yeah, right. But that is massive. They finally fixed Astaroth and his 2-2B whiffing issues. And they increased the forward hitbox of Bull Rush too, so people can no longer step it free or have it whiff right through people. So it's like, Increased the attack's tracking against opponents who missed an attack. Adjusted the front hitbox to reduce instances in which the attack would miss at close range. Welcome back to Soulcalibur 5, my guys! I hope you missed him, because he back. Okay, now let's see here. Grab time frame for the same... Okay, so apparently they increased his actual crouch command grab by 2 frames. Like, 2 extra frames of startup. Sped the attack startup by 2 frames, lengthening the grab time frame by the same amount. So, Astaroth gets 2 extra frames against your tech ducks. Do not crouch unreliably. It will kill you in the end. Now, interestingly enough, here's what we got. Increased the attack's move level, but made it unable to be used as a guard crush. Changed the mid-air hit behavior of down of 2B while crouching B. Now, this one's really interesting because it's really hard to actually reliably get any type of air hit when it comes to them. So, it looks like 2B just immediately grounds them while... Oh, hang on. You know what, let's do this. This will probably be a better example. I never really understood while crouching B on an aerial opponent. I never noticed that. But A is an interesting thing. Let's take a look at this. Oh, so it's a harder float, so he can just AA in the air. That's pretty much all it is. Okay, that's not bad, I guess. Now, this is pretty interesting. His 4KA got a buff. They sped up the timing on the second hit, reduced the opening after the attack. So, that's pretty interesting. They sped it up, so it's not... Ooh, that's really dirty. The reason why that's really dirty is because of the fact that if they block that, you can immediately follow up with a 4A for free. It's a frame trap now. That's wild. Okay, that's kind of destruction right there. And they made his A plus B actually faster. Now, if you couldn't tell, he doesn't have the slow swing startup. They reduced it by 4 frames, so it's actually a pretty decent break attack now. It's probably on lines with everybody else's, because I think his break attack was 32 now, and now it's 28. Let's see here. Forward K. Extended duration of high level of high attack evasion. Really? They increased the tech duck range of that? Nice. Added scaling to the move's combo damage and guard crush combo damage. Oh, okay. When I first saw that, it was worded improperly, saying that it reduced the scaling, not increased the scaling. Okay. Reduce the opening after the attack and also reduce the length of stun inflicted when guarded. Okay, so it's got less guard stun. The move can still be countered with a fast attack after being guarded, but the character's state after the move hits, as well as counter hit combos, has been improved. Oh, okay. Basically what it's saying is it's used... If you use it as a combo starter, which is the counter hit for the knee when you tech duck it, if you do that, state after move hits as well as counter hit combo, it means that there's less combo scaling when you start it with the knee, because what you can end up getting is a wall hit you can end up getting a wall hit, like a wall combo like this. So you can get something like that, but realistically it's not that big of an improvement. The tech duck window is pretty nice though, I will admit that. Okay, so we have his knees. That's actually really good. Okay, so they reduced the overall damage of it, but sped it up by 2 frames, which means that this is now an I-14. Increased the attack's forward movement and made the move easier to use as a poke. How far of a range are we talking? That's not bad, because... Yeah, that's actually really good, because you used to have to be, like, right here. And an interesting note is, that's not here, is, it didn't used to be a mid, it used to be a high, believe it or not. Like, if you want an actual example here, this still works, like, this still shows what it is. If you do that, as you can see that the heel of the second hit is technically considered a high, so it misses over the crouching opponent. Now, that used to happen on just 3K naturally. If somebody would end up tech ducking it, it would go right through, and it was not used for pretty much anything, I feel. but now it's considered a mid. It has it's an I-14 now, so that's really good. Now, the final thing that they have listed here is his 6A plus G, which I call the backbreaker. Increases his soul gauge by an exorbitant amount. The only thing that beats out this, realistically, is the fact that his body splash gives you half a ball. I'm not even joking on that. So, the way it works now... Oh, didn't want that. The way it works now is... They reduced the damage to 50. It used to be 60, so they reduced the damage, but they made it to where you can use it as a soul gauge gainer. So you can get into soul charge faster, or just in general of getting it to where you can have soul charge. Now, for my actual, like, overall thoughts on this entire thing, I think it's a great improvement. Realistically, what ended up happening was majority of Astaroths, all they ever wanted was just for 2-2B to be fixed. You know, minus a couple of other things, obviously, because why not? It's Astaroth. He needs it, pretty much. But at the same token, like, these are all really, really nice buffs. I'm not even gonna lie. You know, you would think that it's like, oh, well, how good can an I-12 be on an Astaroth? You know, or like, because it's considered a high and stuff like that. It works so well. Like, if I had to say this, honestly, before the patch, if he just had his whiffing issues fixed, okay? Real talk. I would put him at a solid mid-tier, but because of the fact that you had the gamble and everything else, I would say, you know, he was bottom because of it. Now that he has an actual reliable I-12, his reversal edge got a buff, on top of the fact that majority, like, nothing major changed, except this. This is devastation. It might not seem it because, oh, it's 10 damage. When you can't step against Astaroth and you have to mind your own actual things, because the way Astaroth was beaten pretty much was you just get in his face and just, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? That's pretty much how you handled him. Now you have to be a lot more cautious. You know, I've had friends that I've faced for years on end, and I just fought one of them, and he freaking hates the fact that Astaroth got an I-12. Because he can't abuse his sidesteps anymore. He can't abuse hitting a button and making me whiff. He can't abuse it. You have to be extremely mindful and play Astaroth completely different. Now, obviously, this doesn't really help against matchups like Talum and Maxi because of the fact that all of their strings jail and so on and so forth, and you have to eat it. But what this does do is this helps actually test reliably what can be punished by them. Now, obviously, if you are of the pro level and everything else, you already know what can be punished by 12. But the fact that Astaroth now has one makes it even better, because if this hits on counter and somebody else hits another button, they'll get caught by that, because this move can no longer be 2-8 on reaction. You cannot 2A for AA against Astaroth without it being caught. Ever. You just cannot do it. So, overall, as of right now, with Astaroth's damage, I think he's perfect now. I don't think there's any reason to touch him ever again, except for maybe just adjusting his CE, because for some reason they made the CE range a lot shorter. Like, that's kind of wild to me. I used to be able to go at neutral right here and grab someone. Now I can't do that. Now I have to take, like, now it's like right here. It's still a great leap, but it got nerfed. It's a hidden nerf. It's not in the patch notes or anything, but that's not, you know, everything is pretty damn good with Astaroth, honestly. Now, I understand that, you know, all these patch notes and everything else didn't really sit well with a lot of other people, but, you know, eventually, we're just going to adapt to it. We're just going to complain about it for right now, or anything of that nature, and we're just going to kind of get over it, really. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal, because while the biggest, you know, caveat to these patch notes was probably Siegfried. Now, Siegfried, all the community ever wanted for Siegfried to be nerfed was the fact of his, was his damage. That's pretty much all anybody wanted. I think anything more was a little bit too much to ask for, but they not only did that, but they decreased the Oki on it. Basically, they made his A-Slide B pretty much like you can't throw it out for free, pretty much. Yes, I know it was 18 frames and everything else, but the way it was being used, it was like a free tool to do whatever it is that you wanted, and they decreased everything. But from what I've actually seen on Twitter and everything else, minus a select few that are just like still like, you know, on feeling Sig is on his deathbed, is he still plays relatively the same. Like, that's one of the biggest things about Soulcalibur I enjoy, is minus like something amazing and something simple being completely removed from the game, you know, I always feel like the characters still play the same, you just have to play it like, they still flow the same. You know what I mean? Like, the flow of the game is still natural, it's still the way it should be and the way it stands. So, as a whole, I think this was a really good patch note, to be fair. Like, I understand that a lot of characters got nerfed and everything else, but as a whole, you know, it's not too bad. It's not going to completely destroy this game or, you know, the characters or anything of that nature. Anybody who says that is just kind of blowing it completely out of proportion because, hey, you know, it's the internet. Why don't we? You know, that's pretty much how it works. But as a whole, Astaroth is finally in an amazing place. Like, I think this is where he should stay. Personally, I don't think he needs any other buffs or nerfs or anything else. I think he's perfect the way he is. This was all just... I was not expecting to get an I-12 in this patch. I'm sorry, but that is just the biggest thing. That was like the biggest thing ever. Of course, personally, my soul hurts that I can no longer spin to win, but you know what? I'll get over it. But you guys, let me know what you believe is the worst part about this patch, or the best part about this patch. Are you happy the way things turned out, or are you a little bit upset at the fact that certain things were nerfed or buffed because of online play? Now, I understand that's a huge can of worms and everything else, but you know, I understand where they come from. It's still not a great decision, but it's still, you know, you gotta take it. You know what I mean? It's just, that's just how the game is. You know, it might be stupid, but you know what? We'll all adapt, we'll all get over it, and we'll still continue to enjoy this game. That's how I feel about it. But let me know what you guys think. Did your character get buffed? Did your character get nerfed? I already know what you're going to say, Crash, and I'm sorry for your loss. This is Ittarra signing off. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope to see you in the next part. Take care, everyone, and be safe. And look out for the next videos, because they will be ranked with Astaroth getting to C rank. Take care, everyone, and be safe. Later!